is going on at twitch.tv/IVE? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. I bring you guys the best in Elestrals content. Obviously, I made the game. Today we've got a very special event going on. It is the Elestrals tournament on our digital app, and we are throwing down for the top cut. The top 8 casters are throwing down right here, right now, in a best of 3 scenario. This is actually the first time Elestrals has had an official tournament with best of 3, and these casters are clashing, looking to win a full art uncut sheet of Penterrors from our Kickstarter Founders Edition. This is a big deal. This is a really hype day, and this is going to be really exciting to see these casters throw down in some epic clashes. I, for one, am very excited. We've obviously got Shattered Stars going on right now. You guys can check that out. I don't want to hold up the round. Like, I most certainly do not want to hold up the round as these casters are getting ready to go, and these clashes are going to be happening pretty soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here for the first round of our top 8 in the Elestrals tournament. These two casters are clashing it out. We've got Kuribro, our winner from the last event, throwing down against JacKyomu. Jack gonna kick things off with a Spark. This could be devastating if he's able to follow it up with a Zeus, and he is. The most detrimental first turn hand you can run into if you're Kuribro. Spark It allows you to Nexus right away from your Zeus. That's gonna be able to have you look at your opponent's hand and take 1 card from that hand on the first turn, and it just gives you such an advantage because it essentially gives you so much knowledge, right? Now Kyomu knows exactly what Kuribro had, and Kuribro actually had a pretty good hand. If we're being honest here, he had the Tsunami, the PTA, the Shield, the Nectar. He had a lot of good things going for him there. I'm going to be interested to see what he's going to go after. What do you take down here? It looks like it's going to be the Elechick. That makes a lot of sense. You want to get rid of that Elechick. That's your only Elestral. So now Kuribro is going to be looking to grab an Elestral. If he's unable to do so, he's going to be put in even a worse spot. He did have good back row, though. That could thwart off the offense. You really want to see an Elestral here. That Nectar of the Gods gives him another chance to grab it. He's got 2 more cards he could pick up here. And I do want to remind everyone, this is a best of 3. So we do have another round, at least after this, as these 2 casters are vying to win 2 out of 3 here. Toxion hits the field. A huge play from Kuribro. That's exactly what he needed. He's going to be able to burn 1 spirit off of JacKyomu, and he's going to be able to potentially either crash into the Spark It or at the very least set a ton of back row. We know he has a PTA, a Shield, and a Tsunami. That's probably what those 3 are. And he's got a 4th as well, so unclear what that is. He probably picked it up with his Nectar of the Gods. And he is going to go for the crash into Spark It and either force the face down rune from Jack or cause the crash. And it seems as though they're going to allow the crash. And they are. So the Toxion is going to take an extra spirit chip of damage, but if you're Kuribro, I would say that worked out to be, you know, kind of best case scenario, considering how far back he was in that first turn, right? That Spark gets so devastating. At the very least, he's able to kind of slow down what Spark It can do. Jack fires back with a Toxion. We got a little bit of a mirror match. Both these casters are running a Thunder base deck. Thunder is often considered to be kind of the top strategy right now for Elestrals. Zeus is very powerful. Toxion, the Nexus strategies that you have with Astravid, of course, set up the core of the deck, and Spark It obviously can just be so devastating. So Toxion hits the field. Kuribro is going to take a spirit just from that alone, and then has to take another spirit from the attack, and Jack's setting up his back row. So we have a tie, right? Like, it's 14-14, but I would say that Jack is most certainly in the driver's seat here, as we're going to see Kuribro being forced to expend to draw. Instead of casting a normal Elestral for that turn or using a normal enchant, you can ultimately expend a spirit to draw a card, and that's what he's going to do here. So we're going to see another Toxion hit the field. This is so bad if you're Kuribro, because now you're taking another hit, and you got to deal with 2 attacks coming off here. This might be the opportunity for him to play something like that Tsunami, but you generally want to save those type of cards until you can get some sort of a momentum here. He is going to go for the Tsunami. It's going to save him 1 spirit. We know he's got a pretty extensive back row, but unfortunately PTA and Shield of Achilles on Toxion is not that ideal, because the Shield just means that he gets to cast it the next turn, and the PTA, while you do eliminate it from the field, you know, it's hard to get any sort of an advantage there. This is a good card for Kuribro right here, Astravid. Kind of one of the things that'll help him get back into the game, assuming Jack has no Gorgon's Gaze face down. This is going to allow him to look at the top 3 and add 1 to his hand. So he's able to kind of start to tease out this key strategy that he wants to execute and maybe try to make a comeback. Now, after taking a look at their decks, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Kuribro in this event is running Sonicore, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he is running Sonicore. So that's probably, if you're Kuribro right now, that's probably what you're aiming for. You're probably looking to get your Sonicore out, and you've got the back row to do it, especially if there's another Tsunami. Obviously, Jack has the opportunity here to disenchant his Zeus to target down that Astrabbit and drop its stats, allowing the Toxion to hit over it. But at the same time, if he has enough back row, a Shield of Achilles or whatever it may be, he can thwart that offense. But JacKyomu with the perfect tech here, running Helios's Chariot Ride, the exact card he needs for this scenario. If Kuribro has no chain, which I doubt he will in this context, that Helios's Chariot Ride is going to prevent Kuribro from playing a single rune for the remainder of the turn. And that is the window that Jack needs to be able to allow his Toxion to hit over the rabbit, and then ultimately, with the Zeus combination, be able to hit directly. And again, Kuribro can't use any counter runes to respond. So I think that there's a world here where Kuribro was indeed setting up for the Sonicore play. I think if I'm him, that's what I'm trying to do at this stage of the game. It doesn't necessarily mean a win because Toxion plus Zeus can crash, but at least it gets you back into the game. Because he can't cast any runes this turn, Toxion's going to be able to destroy the Astrabbit, and then he's going to be able to hit directly for 2 after the re-enchant on Toxion already burning for 1. And if I know Jack, I think there's a real high likelihood that there could be an Altar of Stars face down potentially. I'm not entirely sure, but an Altar of Stars would add another level of burn to this. So while Kuribro is going to be whittled down to just 4 spirits here, I'm sorry, 7 spirits here. I got my numbers backwards there. He's going to be down to just 7 spirits at this point. There's a lot of pressure on the other side of the field. I think he's got the Elechick. This is a good cast here. Elechick can get him back in this game a little bit, getting him a Zeus out of his deck, but the problem is he's running really low on spirits, and he doesn't necessarily have the best back row. He's going to have to get rid of something to cast that Zeus, but he's just going to pass turn here. These Toxions are really racking up their damage, though, against Kuribro. And again, Kuribro was our champion from last tournament. So really cool to see him back here in the top 8, having a consistent performance, but not running Wind this time, switching it up, going Thunder instead. Evil, thanks so much for 41. Tyler, thanks for 67. Appreciate y'all. So if you're Jack at this point, I think you are in the driver's seat right now. I think you play this very safe. I think you play this very methodically. Really, all you need to do is enchant another Toxion. You have no downside, in my opinion, to just fire off some attacks here. Like, you're going to put Kuribro in such a situation where he has so few spirits left, it's going to be very difficult for him to make any sort of a play or push to come back into the game. So let's take a look here what Jack is looking to do. We could check our little effect log. Look like he drew a card. He might just be thinking about this turn, trying to decide what he wants to do. He is going to play the Earthquake here. He's holding on to this Earthquake. Maybe he just top decked it, but that's going to make it so that Elechick is no longer a factor, which means if you're Kuribro and you want to stop an attack, if you're not running Tsunami, you're taking a lot of spirits here in this exchange. I think if you're Jack, you can just enchant your second Toxion with another spirit. You're going to passively hit for 1. That's exactly what he's going to do. Passively hit for 1, and now he has an opportunity to just hit for 2. But we're going to see a smart play from Kuribro. He is going to use that Gorgon's Gaze. That's going to essentially cost him 1 more spirit, but it'll save him 1 spirit when all is said and done, because it's 1 less attack he needs to take. This might be the window to cast a Shield of Achilles. It is. He is going to go for a shield. He held off for quite a while. It turns out, in hindsight, it might have been better to use that earlier on in the clash, just because that Toxion ended up sitting on the field for so long anyway. But with only 2 spirits left, unless he's packing some Ambrosias, he's going to have a really hard time climbing back here. But don't forget, both these casters have side decks that they can utilize to go into their round 3. There's a Resting on Your Laurels. That's a huge play, actually, from Kuribro. That's going to clear the Toxion, but we know Jack has a Toxion in his hand, so Kuribro cannot cast an Elestral. He's going to lose if he does. So he's just going to reveal his hand. He did have the Sonicore spot on there and another Gorgon's Gaze. JacKyomu is going to take round 1 here of the top 8, and he's going to do it in a dominant fashion. It all started with that Spark It on turn 1 with the Zeus. A very, very scary strategy to face up against. I think Kuribro actually bounced back pretty nicely from that, despite kind of being set back on his Elechick pretty far, but he wasn't able to put on enough pressure at that point as those Toxions continued to whittle down and chip away at his spirit deck. So GG's to Jack, picking up win in the first game there. And again, these casters now get to dig into their side decks and decide if there's anything they want to add, and that's pretty cool. So for those who don't know how side decks work in Elestrals, you have 12 cards in your side deck, right? And you can have spirits, you can have runes, you can have Elestrals, and you swap them in and out in round 2 and round 3 of your 3-game set. Game 1 is always the original deck that you started the tournament with. But you can use your side deck to switch cards around and get optimal kind of strategies to counter your opponent, right? So that's something to look at here as we go into this kind of this next round of things as these two face off. All right, we are ready for round 2 here in top 8 of the first ever best of 3 Elestrals tournament. Kuribro down a game now. He is going to opt to go first. So that should be pretty good here. He's not going to have to worry about that turn 1 Spark It. Kuribro is indeed going first. And of course, these two swap their positions. So now I got to move my names around. Thanks, guys. We're going to see Toxion hit the field right out the gates. He's going to hit for 1 Spirit. That's a nice start. 2 face down runes. Again, a much better position than he was in the last one where, you know, Jack was able to get that turn 1 Spark It off, which was just so detrimental. Super duper wild. But a good start for Jack. He's not running just a Thunder package. He's got Vysceris, one of the scariest cards to face down in Elestrals. Vysceris is at 4/2. It's passive. Gets it +1 attack for every Vysceris on the field. That's going to put him at 5 attack, hitting 1 over the Toxion. And if this Toxion does indeed go down to battle, then the Vysceris is going to be able to cast another one out. But Kuribro is prepared. He's got the Shield of Achilles right out the gates. He's going to be able to bounce that Vysceris for a turn, send it back to the hand for just 1 turn. It's still a problem, though, right? The problem has not gone away. Vysceris is there. It is lurking. If you're Kuribro, you need to be really careful. But Kuribro gets a very crucial card of his deck. Astrabid hits the field in attack position. Looks like he's going to want to put on some offensive pressure here. Oftentimes, casters will put their Astrabids into defense position because of their massive 5 defense stat. But I think in this case, as long as this back row card is going to be able to protect you, it makes a lot of sense to do that. The one thing I will mention here, though, we know Jack's running Helios Chariot Ride. We know he's got that Vysceris. You got to be worried that he's going to try to use that on this next turn and get that Vysceris out to hit the rabbit now. Another thing to note is, you know, we saw Kuribro, he had that Astrabid look. There was an opportunity there for him to potentially grab, you know, another counter rune if he needed it. So I see someone in the chat saying, is going first generally an advantage? I would say most players prefer to go first because it allows you to set your counters first. And oftentimes, especially when you're running the decks that these guys are running with their Spark It Zeus combo, going first with that is very, very good. But there are some decks that are okay going second because you get an extra draw, right? So you get to draw on your first turn if you go second, but if you go first, you don't get the draw. So you start with 5 cards instead of 6, basically, right? So there are some decks that are like slower that may prefer to kind of be able to draw. So Jack does get the Vysceris back out. This is the second time it's hit the field in this clash already. And we see a Gorgon's Gaze come off here. A bit unfortunate, though, and I think that this is a situation where you can make an argument that Kuribro could have played this a little differently. He's going to stop the attack, which is big, but had he Gorgons instead of shielded on the last turn, he would have been able to deal with the Vysceris in a different way. It would have been they would have, you know, crashed the Toxion on the Vysceris without its effect if you used it in the proper step, the battle step, if I'm not mistaken. But we see an Earthquake here, so it's going to make it a moot point. He's going to clear that Vysceris, no problemo. And he does get his Sonic Core out. This is what we were looking for from Kuribro. This is the way he gets into this game and has a chance to dominate against JacKyomu. He has completely shut down every counter rune that Jack has. And if you're JacKyomu, you need a way to deal with Sonic Core. What that looks like in his deck is going to be a Zeus plus a 4 attacker. Elechick plus Zeus gets you there. Vysceris plus Zeus gets you there. He has options, but with only 3 cards in hand, it's going to be interesting to see, does he have the answer? He has the Earthquake face down, set as a bluff previously, the perfect card he needs to deal with the Sonic Core. Huge play from JacKyomu, and one of the reasons a lot of these casters run Earthquake in their decks. It is a reliable way to clear out those big attackers, and Jack responds just as quickly as Kuribro seemed to have the advantage. JacKyomu says, give it right back to me. Another Vysceris hits the field. Not what you want to see if you're Kuribro, because you're going to lose your only line of defense. And now you're staring down the face of 2 Vysceris. This is not a good place to be. As good as things were just about 25 seconds ago, the game has completely flipped on the other side. And we see a very smart and intelligent play from JacKyomu, misenchanting his second Vysceris with water, to make it immune to potential tsunamis. Here comes Kuribro firing back with a Toxion to hit for 1 spirit directly into the spirit deck. That's going to bring Jack down to just 7 spirits. Toxion can hit through that Vysceris in defense position, but I would not be surprised to see JacKyomu respond with some sort of a play. It's going to be the Gorgon's Gaze. That's going to be his answer to the Toxion. It ends up only costing him essentially 1 spirit because you're negating, you know, the damage that Toxion would do. And now Jack gets the card to draw off the top of his deck. There's no back row in his way. There are no more Vysceris to cast out, but Spark It hits the field, and this is only going to get even more dicey for Kuribro as Vysceris, and Spark It are ready to go all out into Kuribro's spirit deck. The Vysceris takes out the Toxion, and now Kuribro is going to take 2 spirits of damage. He is in a tough spot. He's got 8 spirits. He has the spirit advantage right now when you're looking at your spirit deck, but unless he's sideboarding some eruptions, which I don't think he is. Oh my god, imagine if he double eruption right now. That would be wild. But we're going to see him set a rune face down. This is where that water enchanted Vysceris can really matter, and a really nice play here. Astrabit could be enough of a defense mechanism to keep him in this clash. He's got 3 cards to look at the top of his deck. He's running 2 Sonic Core. He needs another one. He needs another Sonic Core at this point. In my opinion, I feel like that's his way to get back in this. You got to keep your Astrabit alive for 1 more turn, and you got to get your Sonic Core back out, your big boy. Sonic Core is a beast, shutting down all counter runes in play. Not that great against a pretty, you know, a 5 guys type of deck. You know, we talk about the 5 guys deck, which JacKyomu has kind of pioneered, which generally focuses on 5 attackers, 5 attackers, like higher attack stats. You know, so it's not as good against this particular deck, but Sonic Core could still be the comeback mechanic. And if Jack is going to try to get any more field position, he's got to be really careful when he does it, because you can cast out your Zeus right now, but you only have 5 spirits left. So it's not as if you have this plethora of spirits at your disposal to try to do some cool stuff here. So I think it's also worth noting, as Words calls out in the chat, the misenchant on the Vysceris actually is preventing you know, JacKyomu's Vysceris from being able to attack over, and he's gonna go with the Spark It play. This is smart. He actually enchants to the Spark It. That's gonna allow him to fire off this Nexus. So if there is a Sonic Core in hand, it's gonna get ripped right now, right? So like we see a Spark It and a Zeus. That's gonna be tough. I think if you're Jack, you're taking out the Zeus here, right? Like maybe you take out the Spark It just to make sure he doesn't have another cast, but I don't know. I think if you're Kuribro, you're top decking Sonic Core and hoping your Astrabit can live another turn. But again, only 4 spirits left for Jack, right? It's not as if Jack is sitting, you know, with a ton of spirits in his spirit deck. So this is still a really close clash. We're gonna see the Spark go down. I can't argue with that logic, right? I think the Zeus is nice, but at this stage of the game, you're really not doing much with Zeus. If you're Kuribro, you're really looking for more Elestrals to be able to stay in this clash. So we'll have to see how this plays out, but it's clear to me that Jack does not have another Earth Spirit. Actually double checked. Oh, is it counting it? Because, oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it does get the buff because of the, even though Vysceris is misenchanted, it's still on the field. So actually, yeah, that was a mistake. Vysceris still does get the buff from the attack. Only the Earth Enchanted Vysceris would be 6 attack right now. That's correct, yeah. Because Vysceris' effect does not look for Vysceris that are enchanted. It's looking for Vysceris on the field. JacKyomu actually has the answer anyway. He's got the Ambrosia. So there it is. Ambrosia's going to come down. He's going to be able to search his underworld and grab some spirits back. He's going to grab a couple Terratlas and a Zaptor, it seemed. So maybe he doesn't realize. This could be a huge blunder if he does not attack here. There's an Earthquake. It doesn't matter anyway. He gets his Earth Spirits back. He was methodical about that decision. He took his time to make sure that he was going to activate this play exactly how he needed to. He had the Earthquake ready to rock, just needed that Earth Spirit back. Very methodically done by JacKyomu, one of the best players in Elestrals. He's going to deal 4 spirits of damage and put Kuribro on the back foot here. Kuribro can still come back in this game, but he's going to need something big. He does get into the Elechick here. Elechick's going to allow him to search for a Zeus, which we know he already has in his hand, so this is just a deck thinning tactic. He's going to be able to play Zeus. He could disenchant the Zeus to drop the attack of something and maybe knock out that Vysceris. But you're still in a position where on the following turn, you're probably not going to be able to do a whole lot. So it's looking like this is going to be JacKyomu's best of 3. It looks like he's going to take this 2-0. But we'll see what happens. That back, I mean, I guess if he had Tsunami, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what his out is at this point with that face down rune. But Shield of Achilles is going to seal the deal there. Even a Tsunami doesn't save him now, as the Elechick is going to be bounced back to hand. And now if you're JacKyomu, all you got to do is attack, right? Because in the worst case scenario, you get Tsunami'd, but your Vysceris is water enchanted. Toxion's going to hit the field. What a top deck. Doesn't even matter. That one spirit's going to hit off on Kuribro. And he's down to 0 spirits. He cannot cast any counter runes. And JacKyomu is moving to the top 4 of the Elestrals tournament right here, right now. Congratulations, Jack. That was a crazy game. That was actually a crazy game. That was a pretty big doozy right there. He's going to Nexus. He's going to ping his hand. This one's over, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so they're both tied 1-1. We're going into our 3rd round here of this best of 3. The winner of this advances, and we're going to see a mulligan right away from Jai. Jai decides, you know what? Let's go mulligan a little bit. Let's just start over. So if you don't know, in Elestrals, on your first turn, you can mulligan your hand. Costs 2 spirits to do so. So that's pretty significant. That's steep, right? But you can get a new hand. So you just basically take your 5 cards, return it, and then get a couple new ones. Skyguy is going to cast a Rummagem in defense. That's a great first turn play. Opts to go Tectorus, not Vysceris. If that tells me that they probably have this is interesting. It says JyGein plays the card face down, but it's Skyguy. So I'm actually confused on who's who here, because it says Skyguy at the bottom, but it was JyGein playing. I don't know what happened there. No, either player can mulligan. Let me actually just look if I can figure this out. But anyway, we see an aDrive play from JyGein. They're gonna just Helios' Chariot ride this turn. They're gonna say you're not allowed to use any runes, and that is going to prevent. That's going to prevent Tectorus from getting any more attack, but Tectorus does hit 5 attack, unable to do any damage. That's going to give Jai the opportunity to get a free aDrive protection, right? That was a really cool way to use Helios' Chariot Ride. I love that, actually. So Helios' Chariot Ride is often used as like a push to make an offensive play, right? And in this context, JyGein decided, you know what? I'm going to use it defensively, actually. I'm going to use it so that way my opponent doesn't have any way to hit over my aDrive, because you know they have the Tectorus. They searched it with Rummagem. That tells you they probably have Demeter or some way to buff it. But if Helios hits the field, then there's no way for them to be able to utilize that. And JyGein's going to get a huge playoff here, as the Vysceris is able to KO the Rummagem and now can search deck for another Vysceris and put it in defense position. That's going to give them 3 Elestrals on field. Even though Jai's down to just 12 spirits compared to 18 on... I'm sorry. Even though Skyguy is down to just... Did I get him mixed up again? Hold on. What happened? I feel like I'm so confused. Why is it backwards? JyGein has the Rummagem. Okay. It is right. Okay, so Skyguy gets out the Vysceris. Okay. I don't know why I got mixed up. But either way, Skyguy got out the second Vysceris. That is a huge advantage there. And now JyGein's going to play their own Vysceris after Earthquaking one of them. So that's really big. Foley Forest hits the field. That was what they were looking to combo with the Tectorus. And you obviously have a very clear attack into Vysceris. There's really no reason not to do that. And now you get your own Vysceris to the field. So this is showing why Vysceris is like probably top 5 cards in the game, right? Maybe arguably top 3 cards in the game. Both casters using it. It is an Earth menace, right? Comes onto the field, steamrolls something, gets to get another one out in defense position. Fun fact about it though, when we were designing the game, the prototype Vysceris, maybe even before you guys got to prototypes, the prototype Vysceris cast the next Vysceris in attack position, and it was so oppressive. It was so toxic for the game. Even now it's really strong, right? But when it used to be able to cast into attack, it was like if you just got Vysceris out, you pretty much would win, right? It was way too good. Now it's in a better place, but it's still considered one of the best cards in the game. I love this play here. Skyguy gonna get the Smoltuga out. We've seen them running the Smoltuga. They've got their own Earthquake. They're going to be able to get Ambrosia. They're going to be able to get some Earthquake back. They're going to be able to put some pressure on. Earthquake's flying everywhere. Vysceris going down. There's one more Vysceris on the field. Does Jai have an opportunity to hit over it? Vysceris sitting at 2 defense. aDrive only 2 attack. Doesn't look like they're going to have the offense to hit over it. And of course, you've got the kind of threat of Vysceris being stronger because of the Foley Forest, right? So we'll have to see how this kind of all plays out. But another Tectorus hits the field. That's the offensive pressure you're looking for if you're JyGein. Tectorus able to buff its attack with all of those Earth Spirits in the field. So it starts at 3, but naturally goes to 4. then 5 with Vysceris, then 6 with Forest, and then 7 because of Forest buff. So I think it's sitting at 7 attack. And another Vysceris hits the field as this Vysceris with the Forest, able to take out the Smoltuga. And you can see how quickly this card can snowball and just be so difficult to deal with. And that's why you see a lot of these casters utilizing the Helios' Chariot Ride, right? Like, having that Chariot Ride, being able to, you know, stop those different runes from stopping your Vysceris is huge. Skyguy looking to try to climb back with a Necruff play here. What does Jai have face down? This Necruff could end up burning some damage off, and it is going to do just that. It's going to knock out that Vysceris and hit for 1 directly with its effect. I think at this point, if you're Skyguy, you're really relying on your back row now, right? And it's not going to be an option. Helios' Chariot Ride hits the field for JyGein. We see it again. Ramajam hits the field now. That's going to be a free surge. We know they get to clear this Necruff with all of their power because of the Foley Forest. And it's looking real good if you're JyGein using Helios' Chariot Ride in such a good way. This is the offensive kind of analysis of Helios' Chariot Ride. And it's so funny because I feel like Chariot Ride was a card that has been so, like, disregarded for so long in the game. And now we see it on both players' end being used defensively and then offensively. Really cool to see this card utilized in such a unique way here in the top cut of our tournament. It just goes to show you that, you know, a lot of things about the game, you make a lot of assumptions based on theory crafting and playing and whatever else, but once you get these casters actually out there, you know, clashing off against each other, you start to see some really cool stuff. This is a really cool showcase, though, of Chariot Ride. Ambrosia is going to be a huge play here for Skyguy, getting to regen a few spirits, kind of keep them in the game from a spirit count perspective. But without an Elestral on the field, those 9 spirits are great, but if you don't have any Elestrals to start to mount this comeback, it's going to be very difficult to deal with the offensive pressure that JyGein's putting on right now, right? Like, Vysceris, Tectorus, Ramajam, those line up very nicely here in this pretty much, you know, very earthy deck. A lot of these decks are running kind of mixed elements right now. Skyguys is one of those. We saw the Necruffs, we saw the Vysceris, we've seen the Smoltuga, right? Like, all over the place. His deck is all over the place in terms of elements, you know, rocking at least 3 or 4 different elements there. JyGein seems to be pretty committed to their Earth strategy, and it's cool to see the contrast there as these two casters, you know, obviously spend a lot of time constructing their decks going into this. And not only that, but preparing their Sty decks for the best of 3 format, our first ever best of 3 event. A face down from JyGein. Curious what that's going to be. Another Tectorus hits the field. This is starting to get real scary if you're Skyguy going into these last couple turns. A little G Fuel chug on my end. Tsunami will save the day for 1 turn, though. That's a huge splash. It's going to send all of those Elestrals to defense position. This is where you need, like, a Rise from the Ashes into Blazerus or something. You know, I mean, like, this is where you, like, try... Like, I don't know. What is... If you guys think in the chat, what is, like, the best comeback right now? To me, it's, like, Rise from the Ashes, a Fire Elestral, cast Blazerus. Blazerus is able to hit the Vysceris, the Tectorus, then another Ambrosia. And then you get Trifernal out, and then Trifernal hits the other Tectorus. You know, Raigeki, yeah, that's I remember that card. That's a Yu-Gi-Oh card that destroys, you know, all on your opponent's field. Is that what it is? It's like a better dark hole. I don't remember exactly. Been a long time. We're gonna see an expend the draw after the Ambrosia. That's gonna get him an extra card, but they're not gonna be able to cast this turn. So probably fishing for another Tsunami. I mean, at this point, like, that's all you can really do. You're just trying to stall. Earthquake's gonna hit the field. You could take out the Vysceris, but he's gonna take out a Tectorus. I guess that makes sense. There's no more Vysceris to pull anymore. You know, we've seen all of them on Jai's side of the field. So if you're Skyguy, you got to resting on your laurels. He's got the removal. A little late though, right? Like, this is like probably 2 or 3 turns too late. If you're Skyguy, you would have liked to see that laurels a little earlier. You would have liked to see that Earthquake a little earlier. You know, most casters choosing to run Earthquake. We see some restings once in a while. This is a case where we see the resting on your laurels and Earthquake in the same turn. That's always nice, but you got to take 2 more hits here. You got to deal with a Vysceris and a Ramajam. Not that Ramajam is all that threatening, but it's already done its job, right? It searched out that Tectorus and was able to put on some more pressure there. There's going to be 2 hits there. Top decking for something big here. Skyguy. Galaxy, that's a big one. But we got to remember, right? Like, that Foley Forest is playing a factor here. All these Earth Elestrals are getting +1. So Vysceris normally sitting at 5 attack, now going to sit at 6 attack. Poison Tipped Arrow functions pretty funny. It actually drops Galaxy's attack before the swap. So Galaxy remains at 5 attack because of its defense swapping in afterwards, but the PTA is going to be able to get rid of the Galaxy at the end of the turn. And now it's going to force, Skyguy or JyGein's in a position where, if they just have an Elestral, they can probably seal the deal here. There's going to be a cast face down. And they're just going to enchant the Vysceris with another spirit. And if this attack goes through, they're going to win the game. Now, if you're Skyguy and you have a Tsunami, a Shield of Achilles, wait a minute. That could be big. Nah, it's not going to matter because they have no more spirits left. So they meme it for the end there, but looks like JyGeин's Earth deck is going to be able to power against Skyguy's 5 guys and ultimately take the W in the best of 3 and move on to the next round. That was pretty hype. I love that. It was a good game. And a Helios' Chariot Ride revealed as the final card there. So I'm going to just take a little peek at kind of our next matchup here as we're going to head to the next round and kind of figure out what I want to cast over. And here we are in our top 4 of the Elestrals tournament. Best of 3. Chips taking on JyGein. We had to kind of restart this one real quick due to a small little mishap, but we should be good to go on this one. Very excited about this clash for a few reasons. One, a lot of the casters in this event are utilizing a strategy called 5 guys, which focuses on some of the higher attacker Elestrals, 5 attack Elestrals that cost 1 spirit, generally your Galaxy, your Necrof, your Storlight, that kind of stuff. JyGein, however, is running an Earth-focused deck that leverages the power of Tectorus with Earth Spirits on field, Vysceris, as well as, Demeter to pile those spirits on field, and then the Foley Forest as a stadium. And we see that oftentimes stadiums are disregarded, right? Like, a lot of the times some of the casters just kind of choose to not run stadiums or sideboard those. And if you're able to get your stadium out early in a clash, it could provide a huge advantage, right? Or at least put in a good amount of pressure before, the opponent can really deal a whole lot of, damage. So, we'll see how this one's going to play out. A really good first turn, though, for Chips, right? Chips get their Astrabbit out. They're going to be able to look for something. They get their Nectar of the Gods out. They can draw 2 cards. They, took 3 spirits, but they're in a pretty powerful position. We see Jai rocking the Astrabbit as well. That's going to allow them to look at the top 3 cards of their deck and add 1 to hand. Astrabbit dominating the metagame for a long time now, being just a sturdy 5 defense Celestial that gives you so much knowledge, gives you such an advantage. It's a plus 1 essentially. It's a strong body. Like, there's nothing to dislike about Astrabbit. There is nothing to dislike about it. It's just such a good card. Probably should have been 4 defense. But we learn as we go. Earthquake play here. I find this interesting, going with the Earthquake kind of after the fact, although that may have been what they picked up from their Astrabbit look. Generally, if you're going to make that play, you probably put Astrabbit in attack position and then want to burn one of your face down runes. But maybe Jai's like, you know what? Let's just save this face down back row and see if they have any way to deal with my 5 defense Celestial. Elechik's going to hit the field. That's going to be the answer, though, right? Like, Elechik can search out Zeus. That's going to be able to do it. Poison Tipped Arrow hits the field now for JyGein. That's going to, at the very least, clear the Elechik. And in this case, is huge because Zeus plus Elechik equals 7, right? Like, the drop from Elechik plus the attack of Elechik is going to hit 7. Or rather, it's going to put, Astrabbit down to 2 defense. Elechik is going to be now dropped to 2 attack, is what I'm getting at. So the Zeus Elechik does not get over Astrabbit now, is what I'm trying to get at, right? It's not gonna be able to attack over it. So a really good Poison Tipped Arrow play here, because now Elechik is 2 attack. Astrabbit after a Zeus disenchant would be 2 defense, and thus they don't do anything against each other. But I said all of that, and then there's an Earthquake. Earthquake is gonna shake the field just like we saw in the last turn. Earthquake into the Rabbit. Earthquake again. If these people just ran Veritaqua, they'd be much cheaper on their spirit decks. They'd be saving a lot of spirits. This is coming from the Veritaqua that needs some more love fund, and I recommend using that little fish in the future. The Elechik is going to go down. It's going to be able to attack for 2, right? Like, it has an opening to attack for 1 spirit, rather, and then, with its 2 attack, and then, obviously we'll see the Poison Tipped Arrow take it out at the end of the turn. And JyGein's just going to expend the 2 to kind of count for that. Here we go. We've got another draw here. JyGein kicking off their turn. The spirits are pretty much even. The 2 Zeus on field pretty much match where Jai's at with their 14. you're really looking to grab like a Vysceris right now, right? Like a Tectorus, a Rummajam would be good. A Rummajam would actually be really good right now because it gives you the search and, you know, you're not really at risk of any Elestrals right now, but it is going to be the Vysceris. So, you know, not bad. You can put some pressure on here. Shield of Achilles isn't really scaring you. You know, GG doesn't scare you. Tsunami may scare you a little bit if you don't have face down. Zeus is putting on the pressure anyway. So Vysceris should be able to get a free hit here. I don't see a world where you don't allow the attack to go through, right? Because the cost of casting a counter rune against Vysceris doesn't really gain you much of an advantage. You're stopping 1 damage, but you're probably paying more to do that. So generally, it's not the optimal play. Chip's gonna draw for their turn. They're gonna look to put on some pressure here with their Elestrals. They've got that Zeus. They can hit over this Vysceris, probably no problem, but they're gonna expend the draw. Makes me wonder if they're searching for something specific out of their deck right now to execute a particular strategy. They're not gonna be able to get any Elestrals on the field. Not ideal. JyGein isn't a chance to start to flood this field with another Elestral, but at the same time, yeah, they're gonna have the Elechick. That's gonna get their Demeter out of their deck. That's pretty big. Elechick can search out this Demeter, can add it to hand, serves as a nice 4-attack body. Demeter is going to be able to set up for later turns with that Tectorus. That's going to be really big. And you're going to be able to put on some pressure with 2 hits here. I think if you're Chips, you really, you know, now would be an optimal time for a Tsunami, but you've got 3 back row to deal with too. So not exactly, you know, the best position to be in. You really want to get rid of that Vysceris. That's going to be the key. But that, you know, they don't have an answer for it right now. You know, Shield of Achilles against Vysceris is just, you're just delaying the inevitable. You're delaying that thing from hitting the field and putting on the pressure. So JyGein able to, you know, potentially attack for 2 here. I don't see any downside to that. I don't really see a response out of Chips unless you're a Tsunami. And they're just going to take the 2, right? And maybe Chips on the last turn expended the draw because they didn't want to just have some fodder out there for Vysceris. But I think you generally, with your Zeus, you can definitely disenchant and hit over stuff. So does Chips have an Elestral this turn is going to be the big question, right? We know that they're running 5 guys. They can fish out anything here. I think a Galaxy would be really nice, or a Necrof. They've got the Spark It. That may not be terrible, right? It doesn't get you exactly where you want to get, but it allows you to pick off something from hand, but not a poison-tipped arrows here. A lot of players have actually kind of went away from poison-tipped arrow in their counter rune row, opting for other options, like we've seen like those Helios Chariot rides, like those Altar of Stars, especially in Thunder. But I'm a big poison-tipped arrow fan, especially in decks that run a lot of 4 attackers, especially in decks that run like 5 defense Elestrals. They're still going to go for the Nexus. They're going to probably rip the... I think you ripped the Vysceris, yeah. So they're going to rip the Vysceris, and, you know, obviously the Spark It not sitting at a high attack stat. I'm kind of curious why they didn't Nexus off the Spark It, but maybe they can disenchant off the Zeus now and try to crash the Elechick. Or rather, they would KO the Elechick. So that might be the play. I guess you could crash the Vysceris, right? You drop it down to 2. You crash it. He is going to go for that. So Spark It at 2 attack, Vysceris at 2 attack after the Zeus disenchant. There's an opportunity here to crash into this Vysceris and knock it out. That does, you know, pose the opportunity for another Vysceris to hit the field if you're JyGein. One of their Vysceris is in the underworld now. Here's an Ambrosia to regen a couple spirits. Not a bad play. Big card advantage here on Chip's end. Got, you know, quite a few cards in hand, 3 in hand. You know, JyGein's going to take another spirit using this poison-tipped arrow most likely. Spark It's carrying 2 spirits, so it might be able to hit. One thing I will say that you could argue that there may have been a slight better play there. Like, you could have used the spirit on Spark It to cast that Ambrosia, right? But there's an Earthquake. Oh, wow. Going to get rid of that Elechick. This is going to be a full field flip. This could be a full field flip. This could be massive for Chips. This could actually be massive if they're able to hit this off. The Vysceris is going to be able to activate its effect unless there's a Gorgon's Gaze here or something, but this could be a full flip here for Chips. Really executed, like, super executed turn this round to kind of pull back, right? Like, clearing the Vysceris out of hand, Earthquaking off. There's the Gorgon's Gaze. He has it. I think you use it in the attack step just in case, but the Gorgon's Gaze is now going to remove Vysceris effect and drop its attack to 1 and not allow it to come through. And then here's the Tsunami. So that's going to stop all of this from making any sort of a difference. And the Spark It is going to end up going down. So this is the context where, like, you could have used, you know, the Spirit on Spark It to get that Gorgons, right? Like, there was a few ways that could have been played a little bit differently if you're Chips, because now you're still dealing with, you know, you're still dealing with the Vysceris. It's just in defense position, but that's not going to be for long. Jai is going to set a card face down. Probably no more Elestrals, because you're not going to set your Demeter at this point in the game. They're going to set another thing. So you assume the Demeter in hand. Vysceris goes to attack position. If you're Chips, you probably just have to take this. I mean, maybe there's a world where you Shield of Achilles, but again, it doesn't get you that, like, it doesn't really advance your board state in any way. So we're going to see a big draw here. Chips looking for something big, probably looking for like a Necruff. But without their Zeus anymore, they don't have the way to hit over the Vysceris, and they use their Gorgon's Gaze. And I understand the play, but it didn't work out because of the Tsunami. They have their own Vysceris, though. That's exactly what they needed. This could be the perfect answer if it's able to get this attack off. We've seen Jai use a Poison Tipped Arrow twice in this clash. Do they have another one? Do they have another Poison Tipped Arrow? They have a Gorgon's Gaze. So they're going to Gorgons the other Vysceris and now go for the attack. So I do want to just make a note that there is a timing window for Gorgon's Gaze in the attack step that it doesn't end up mattering because Tsunami keeps coming out for JyGein, but you can utilize Gorgon's Gaze in the attack step to stop an attack or in the battle step to suppress an effect. And the battle step is really, because at that point when you go from attack step to battle step, once you get past the attack step and you move to the battle step, the attack is going to happen. All right? But you can turn off effects with the suppression from Gorgon's Gaze. And that's the timing for that. That's the optimal timing there. So what we see from Chips is they're using the Gorgons before they're declaring the attack. The reason why this matters is, like, there's plays like Shield of Achilles that could come into play here, right? Like, there's certain situations. Tsunami ends up, like, not mattering because you could just chain the Tsunami anyway at that point. But we're going to see Demeter get some love there. That's going to give the attack buff they need. Astravid hits the field, and that's going to be a tough end for Chips in this one. It was a very close clash, using those Gorgon's Gaze both times on some offensive plays. But JyGein in their Earth deck is able to hang in there. I love this. This is really fun to see. Congratulations to Jai for winning the first of the best of 3, and we're going to jump into round 2 here momentarily as Pantera shows its face on the screen looking awesome. But that was a pretty close game, actually. That was a good one. That was like a really good one to watch. Okay, well, let's get into it. We got our second game here of our best of 3 top 4. JyGein leading 1-0 after a very good game against Chips. Being able to kind of get the advantage out there. Those Poison Tipped Arrows proved to be very powerful, kind of thwarting the attack that Chips is trying to put on with their 5 guys. They've got Toxion here first. So Toxion, not a 5 guy, it's only a 4 guy. But it does hit for 1 directly. So that's a really good start, right? Like, it feels like 1 Spirit at this point in the game means nothing. But, like, it adds up, right? Like, you know, that's 1 less Spirit that they have. So, hey, Jake, I'm looking forward to it, man. Tectorus hits the field from Jai. There's 1 face down rune that you're worried about, but Tectorus had 4 attack. We'll see if there's going to be any sort of buff here. Jai setting a plethora of runes face down, and there's the Foley Forest. I'm going to be very interested to see if Chips did indeed side in that Mount Olympus, right? Like, you know JyGein's running Foley Forest. You know that they're going to take advantage of this, and now they're just going to say, you know what? My Toxion's dead. You don't even have to declare an attack. So Tectorus is going to be able to clear the Toxion, sitting at 5 attack. Actually, I'm sorry. It's sitting at 6 attack because of that. But Elechick has the exact answer needed. It can search out the deck and grab a Zeus, which is what Chips is looking for. Chips is looking to get that Zeus out to be able to drop the attack and defense of opposing Elestrals. That could drop the Tectorus down and make it that the Elechick can attack over it. But let's not forget, there's 3 runes face down. I have a hard time believing that JyGein does not have something face down to stop an attack at this point in the clash. You know, what that could look like is a Tsunami or a Shield or something like that. You know, Gorgon's Gaze, etc. Although, if you're going to Gorgon's Gaze, you would probably do it on the effect. You probably do it on the effect, right? So, we'll see here. There it is. Oh, I looked away for a moment, and we see the Gorgon's Gaze. I was going to say, if you're going to Gorgons on an Elechick, you're going to do it during the effect. So, they're going to stop the play there. And then a second Tectorus hits the field. Earth Beater's going wild today. Tectorus gonna buff each other up big time, and now getting to clear the Elechick. No Divine Search, and gets to attack directly. I'm just gonna double check that Divine Search never happened. I don't think it did. Yeah, it did not. They Gorgons to stop the Divine Search, so that's huge. That is massive. Massive, massive, massive. Big stuff. So Chip's gonna draw. They're facing down 2 Tectorus. They need something. Jai's empty their hand. 3 runes face down. Foley Forest sitting here. These guys are all buffing each other up. Tectorus had 4 attack from itself. 5, 6, plus Foley puts it at 7 if I'm not mistaken. 2 7 attackers right out the gates. Very hype stuff. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Or see the Toxion actually going into defense position to hit for 1 spirit, it seems. I'm surprised to see the cast into defense. I don't really know why you go into defense there when you can just Zeus. Did he mean to put it in defense? I guess he wasn't hitting over the Tectorus anyway. He would have crashed. So Ramagem comes out, and it's just gonna kind of continue to snowball, right? Like, we've got this opportunity now, if you're Jai, to grab your Vysceris. And that's what they're gonna grab. Vysceris is just gonna make this really scary really fast, right? If you're Chips, you know, you're hoping you have a Tsunami face down. I don't know if they do. This is gonna be really hard to clean back, like come back against 2 Tectorus and a Vysceris waiting in hand. If you're Chips, you only got 1 face down, 2 cards in hand. Your Toxion's about to get blown back. There's an Altar of Stars that explains the play. This was kind of a really crafty play here. So I'll try to explain it the best I can. But what they're doing is they're Nexusing from Zeus onto Toxion. They're going to move Toxion to attack position in the attack phase, or the attack step rather. That's going to make it so Remagem's attack still is forced to go through, and it's going to actually get KO'd as a result. So a very high level play from Chips. Like, this is a really, really good play on their end, and I'm gonna, try to explain it one more time. So they baited with the Toxion in defense. They use Altar to Nexus onto it to activate Toxion's effect, and then because it was still the attack step, the attack still goes through even though Toxion's position changed, and now Toxion's in attack position, so now it's stronger than the Ramagem, and the Ramagem dies as a result, and you take a Spirit of Damage. So it's a great play. Like, that's a really awesome play, and one of the best applications of Altar of Stars. I don't think it's enough though, right? Like, defensively, Chips, it helps, but those 2 Tectorus are very scary in front of you. Resting on your laurels helps though. That's a big help, because now it's only 1 Tectorus. So, but there's still a Vysceris waiting in the back. This is rough if you're Chips. You're down a game. You know you got to make a comeback here. JyGein is sitting pretty. But here's Spark It. Spark It can pull the Vysceris from hand. I feel like you gotta go for it, right? You gotta get rid of that Vysceris. We might see a Gorgon's Gaze, though. That would be kind of the difference maker. We know Jai's running the Gorgon's Gaze. We saw it before. Might be waiting for after the Nexus to play it. With Gorgon's Gaze, you can activate the Gorgons at multiple timing windows. You can do it when the Elestrals cast, which is suboptimal. You can do it when that Nexus is declared, which may be beneficial. Or you can do it after the Nexus is declared and activated to stop the next effect. And that's exactly what we're going to see from JyGein here. So they're going to utilize the versatility of Gorgon's Gaze to stop the effect of Spark It after the Nexus happens, which means the Zeus is gone, and now they're sitting there with dead weight with a Spark It, and Vysceris is ready to pounce. Vysceris is sitting there smelling blood in the water. It's going to KO this Spark It. We're going to get another Vysceris to the field. That's only going to make Tectorus stronger. Tectorus is going to be able to attack directly, and Chips with just 1 card at their disposal is going to have a real hard time climbing back in this one, ladies and gentlemen. That resting on your laurels was big, but this is going to be real tough for them to come back with another Vysceris about to hit the field. Oh, man. There it is. There it is. The Vysceris hits the field. 1 chip of damage. Chips is going to draw. I guess you're looking for a Necruff and a Tsunami. I mean, here comes an Astrabit. The problem with that is it's not going to give you enough. You really need a Tsunami right now. Like, you really need to top deck a Tsunami with this look. JyGein's going to let it go through. They're going to be able to look at the top 3. You need something to like help you get back in this, and something like a Tsunami could potentially do that. Although Fully Forest is going to make a huge difference here. This +1 attack and defense can be massive, and I feel like, again, stadiums are often very much so disregarded right now, and I understand why, right? Like, they have a simple effect. It's +1/+1 and only affects your element, right? Like, you know, there's a world where you can make an argument where, like, okay, why am I going to run a stadium? But when you play in a clash and your opponent's running a stadium and you have no way to deal with that and it doesn't benefit your squad, it can be very, very difficult to deal with. It can be very difficult to deal with. So Earthquake's going to come off. It's going to pick off the Vysceris, not the Tectorus. And that's going to be it for chips. So this aStrabic in defense now faces down an Elechick. Elechick can search out Demeter. Demeter can buff up the Vysceris. The Vysceris can clear the aStrabic and get another Vysceris out. Elechick and Tectorus can hit directly. And there's going to be 4 Elestrals on this field real quick, I think. We'll take a look on the Underworld, make sure I didn't miss anything. There's 1 Vysceris there, so we're still waiting for 1 in deck. We don't see the Demeter play. We actually just see... Oh, Vysceris doesn't even need it. It has the Fully Forest. It doesn't even need the Demeter. And we're going to see another Vysceris being able to hit the field for JyGein. And I think that's another point to mention here, right? Like, we've talked about how Vysceris is one of the strongest cards in the game. It hits 5 attack on its own. But what if you added just 1 more point of attack? All of a sudden, you're hitting over every major threat in the game with 6 attack, and that is what those stadiums can do for you. Fully Forest gives you that opportunity. It opens that door for you. So huge plays are all around, and we're going to say a GG from Chips. A Spark and an Altar are not going to be enough to deal with the board state of JyGein with 4 Elestrals on field in a dominating 2-0 performance. They're going to the finals of the first ever Elestrals Best of 3 tournament. Congratulations to them. That was a hype clash. That was very exciting. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the finals of the Elestrals tournament. Our first ever Best of 3 tournament is going down right now. JacKyomu facing off against JyGein in this Best of 3 finals clash. JacKyomu representing or rocking a 5 guys type deck that has a Thunder core. So we're going to see a lot of those Thunder Elestrals, but we'll see those Vysceris as well, which could be a key Elestral for him to be able to deal with the threats. Wait, they both have the sleeves. I think I have the layout right. They both are running Earth sleeves. So Toxion going to come down for JacKyomu. That's going to hit for 1 right away for JyGein after they had to mulligan on their first turn. Mulligan, obviously, you have the opportunity to clear, clear your hand to draw a new hand, but it does cost you 2 spirits to do so. So a Fire Spirit out of the way. And JacKyomu is going to set their back row. Looks like they got quite the back row. 3 runes face down. JyGein after mulligan and taking a Toxion hit, going to draw. They've got a nice 6-card hand, hopefully something better than what they saw the first time around. And now they're going to make a play. They've got a lot of power in this deck. Something like a Vysceris would be a great play here. It would force a counter rune for sure. Thinking about their play. We're going to see the defensive option. aStrabic goes to defense position. That's going to allow them to look top 3, add 1 to their hand. This is pretty good to set up. This Earth deck really utilizes, kind of that long-term setup of getting those pieces on field to buff your Elestrals. You're really looking for those Rummagems or your Vysceris and your Tectorus, your Demeters, your Forest, right? Kyomu is going to get the draw here. The question is going to be at this stage of the game, does Kyomu have another Elestral to cast? Or are you going to start expending to draw to kind of give yourself a better situation later on? That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to go for the expended draw here. I think that's a smart play. Even if you have another Elestral, you're not facing any offensive pressure from an aStrabic. So you have a little bit of flexibility there to kind of make that kind of a play. And then we're going to see the Zeus play here. So he's going to load it up with 4. He knows he's going to need to be able to hit over these defenses. And this is an opportunity. You can disenchant the Zeus here, target down that aStrabic, and make it so your Toxion can hit over it. It's a pretty minimally risk play, all things considered, because, like, worst case scenario, you're forcing JyGein here to use one of their counter runes. You know, like, you don't care if your Toxion gets bounced to your hand. You don't really care if it goes to defense from Tsunami, because you know, you want to get rid of those runes eventually. So kind of forcing them at this stage of the game is generally, you know, advantageous. We're going to see, you know, the Astrabbit just get cleared. It's going to go down. And then another Astrabbit hits the field. So if anything, JyGein is hanging in there, making sure that they're able to get the resources that they're looking for and kind of forcing Jack to, you know, have to use spirits to really make any sort of a momentum here. This is a really close clash, but those cards, that card advantage could prove to be so useful. The only thing is again, JyGein has not been able to put any offensive pressure on. But when you're running a deck that has Helios' Chariot Ride, there's a world where like you just wait for that perfect moment to get that Vysceris play off, right? Where you can get your second Vysceris and then swarm the field and get an advantage. But it's a little harder to do when your opponent has a Vysceris too, right? That's where things get a little trickier, but a very important poison tipped arrow play from JyGein that's going to drop Vysceris attack down to 3. Still strong enough to hit over a rabbit, but could potentially at the very least slow it down, right? Like you want to get rid of that Vysceris. You don't want to allow that thing to sit on the field for too long. We're going to see Jack use the Zeus again, target down the Astrabbit. This is one of the reasons why Zeus is better than Demeter in a lot of ways, right? Because when you target down the rabbit, both Toxion and Vysceris can hit over it. But we're going to see a Gorgon's Gaze play here. I'm assuming on the Toxion? No, on the Vysceris. So the Toxion's going to take it out. And the Vysceris is going to go down at the end of the turn. So a lot of resources used, right? JyGein had to use their Gorgons. They had to use their PTA. But they kept the Vysceris on the other side of the field at bay. I'm really interested to see if we're going to see that Helios Chariot Ride play. Now would be a really good time to use it. There it is! Exactly what we were waiting for. Helios' Chariot Ride. There is nothing on the field for Jack to target. This is where the Vysceris play comes in, and JyGein has the Vysceris. They're flipping this board. They're going to take out the Toxion. They're going to be able to get another Vysceris out. They're going to throw down a Foley Forest. They invested so many resources into getting rid of the Vysceris on Jack's field, and it all comes to fruition. Those two Astrabbits in the beginning of the game set up for the perfect play. They searched out their Helios. They got their Vysceris. They had their Foley Forest. They've got two Vysceris on the field, and they flipped the whole game with that play. JacKyomu isn't out of it yet. They got two spirits on their Zeus. Something, and an Elechick can put him right back in this. There's so many things that Jack can do here, but the question is, does Jack have an Elestral that can hit over the defense Vysceris? That's going to be the key. You got to get over that Vysceris. Here's a Toxion. That's what you need. That's exactly what you're looking for, right? You're able to hit for one directly with Toxion's effect, and you have enough to hit over the Vysceris to, at the very least, force a play on Jai's end. That's what you're looking to do here. All you're trying to do is force them to use spirits. So if you can force another defensive play here, then we're going to see an Altar of Stars. An Altar of Stars play utilizing the spirit from the attack position Vysceris onto the defense position Vysceris, which is going to force the defense position Vysceris into attack position, which will now KO the Toxion and its incoming attack. A flawless play from Altar of Stars. And Jack has his own Altar of Stars to change it back. Oh my goodness. We could not be asking for a better set of players and gameplay in our final match here. As we see a double Altar of Stars counter. The first one changed the Vysceris into attack position, and very costly so, cost Jai their other Vysceris, and now they're gonna lose their first Vysceris too. So just as things flipped in Jai's favor, they have flipped completely back in Jack's favor, as Toxion is going to receive a Thunder Spirit from Zeus from the Altar of Stars, and now is able to not hit through. Instead, it's gonna be a Shield of Achilles. Oh my god, what are we watching? Shield of Achilles pulled from the Foley Forest. That's going to save a spirit in the spirit deck, as obviously JyGein down to just 3 spirits trying to climb this back. Toxion gets bounced to hand. I think if you're Jack, you're not even mad about it. Vysceris is going to be able to attack directly here. Jai down to just 3 spirits. And now JacKyomu has a very easy play here. You play Toxion, you burn for 1, you disenchant Zeus, you drop the attack of Vysceris, and you attack it. You don't have to do anything other than that, because if you're JyGein, you're probably not going to have enough spirits to be able to stop that play, right? Like, you're probably not going to be able to stop it. There's a Vysceris of their own. That'll do too. Vysceris on its own. You can disenchant this Zeus to drop the opposing Vysceris, and you can hit directly. There is a counterplay for that, though. So I'm surprised they didn't go the Toxion route. But they don't have the counterplay. Vysceris is going to get the hit off. They're going to crash. They both get to activate their effects and put out another Vysceris into defense position. But again, this is just a game of attrition for Jack, right? At this point, all you got to do is just hang in there long enough, because you know that JyGein cannot go down to 0 spirits. If they do, Toxion wins the game. So this is going to be really interesting. Saying thank you for 100, by the way. We're like mid-hype clash right now. Vysceris is out. It has an opportunity to go offensive here. It can go into attack position and attack, but Jack still has 8 spirits left. They have a lot of potential with their back row, 2 face-down runes. If you're Jai, you only have 2 spirits left. You know Toxion can hit you for 1. Altar of Stars plus Toxion loses you the game. Vysceris has to go on the offensive. There's no other play. If you're JyGein, it's going to hit into the Vysceris. Does it go? It does not. Shield of Achilles bounces it back. And that is going to probably seal the deal in this first one of the best of 3. Because now Toxion hits the field. And we see exactly that. Helios' Chariot Ride left unused. Shield of Achilles bounces it back. And we're going to see JacKyomu take game 1 here. 1-0. That was an insane game. Guys, you can't tell me that wasn't hype, dude. Like, there's no way anyone could have watched that and been like, yo, that was not fun to watch. That was crazy. What a clash that was. 2 of the best casters in Elestrals throwing down. That double altar play was nuts. Nuts. That was actually insane. The double altar of stars. These 2 casters are now going to dig into their side decks. 12 cards in their side decks. An opportunity to change out any 12 cards of their deck, including spirits, to ultimately get to a better deck to now deal with their opponent. So here's where this comes into play. We've got an epic clash here for our second round of this best of 3. JacKyomu, JyGein. JyGein has the opportunity to go first here if they want. It looks like that's what they're doing. I'm gonna just swap the names in the layout, and let's see how this clash throws down. We've got the Earth Beater deck. Jack actually gonna go for a mulligan here. Gonna cycle out this hand, get a new hand. Yes, PokeChef, that's the plan. So we are in the finals. This is the finals. Best of 3. A mulligan for Jack. So Jack's gonna throw 2 spirits out the way. Grab a new hand. Pretty crucial at this point, right? Like, you want to make sure you feel comfortable about the hand you have. You know what your opponent's bringing. I really love this deck from JyGein. I think that a lot of people have speculated that the deck that Jack is running is the best deck, right? Like, I think that that's probably the consensus among the top players. You know, maybe change a few cards here and there, of course, but the overall core of JacKyomu's deck is what a lot of people have kind of speculated to be the best deck, right? What JyGein is running is something that has been identified as a potentially good deck, but most certainly not considered to really be meta relevant, I would say. Earth Beaters has been around since, you know, prototypes, but this is kind of the best execution we've seen of it in a tournament setting. They're going to get their Rummagem out turn 1. That's equivalent to like an Astrabbit with most decks, right? Like, you're guaranteed getting whatever you want. You grab your Vysceris. It's a no-brainer. Here's Toxion. It's a water enchanted Toxion trying to avoid a tsunami, making sure that they don't fall behind on spirits. I kind of like it. If you're Jack and you don't have anything else to do, it's kind of a safe play, right? Like, you're like, you know, I can't Nexus this turn. I might as well make sure I get rid of the Rummagem. I don't want this to kind of go too bad, right? I don't want to get steamrolled here. Gonna set some serious back row. JyGein has an opportunity to respond, but chooses not to. Says, you know what, I'm going to take this hit. It's okay if my Rummagem goes down. It's not a big deal. I can take the hit. Not stressed about it. I've got a Vysceris. Here's a Helios' Chariot Ride. This is the play that we saw in the last game. JyGein going super duper offensive. What did I call it? Did I not call it Spark It? I forgot what I called it. Helios' Chariot Ride comes down, though. That's going to prevent Jack from playing any counter runes on this turn. Vysceris hits the field. It is free to do its thing. It can now take out the Spark It. We can get another Vysceris. I called it Toxion. My bad. Spark It. It can now get out another Vysceris onto the field. And this is what Jai's deck really is revolving around, right? This Snowball Helios Chariot combo with Vysceris. Because if you get 2 Vysceris on the field and your opponent has nothing to do to stop those 2, it can go downhill very quickly. Now, if you're Jack, you're probably running Earthquakes, right? Like, there's probably something they can do. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those face down runes is a secret Earthquake. I think JyGein's looking forward to Kuribro in set 2. Here's the Spark It with the Thunder Spirit this time. With only 1 card in hand, it's not really advantageous to try to pick something off. We're going to see a poison-tipped arrow hit the field real quick. That's going to stop or slow down the attack of Spark It, rather, and try to clear it off the field at the end of the turn. But it's a delayed clear, right? Like, you will be able to get rid of the Spark It, but at the end phase, so it can still put some pressure on. And Zeus allows it to do just that, because you can disenchant off the Zeus and hit the Vysceris, and then, you know, essentially be able to attack over it, even with the poison-tipped arrow playing in effect here. So we're going to see the Nexus. Jack says, you know what? I want to get rid of whatever's in your hand. I'm going to see it. I'm going to get rid of it. And if you're JyGein, I think you keep your fingers crossed that you're not about to lose something pretty good here. That's the risk you run against this deck, though. You know Spark It's there. You know it's a threat. It forces you to put your back row down. And whatever's in the hand is going to get put down. So let's see it. Here's the Nexus. 2 spirits come down. It's going to be a Tectorus. That's a big hit. That is a big hit right there. If you're JacKyomu, you're feeling great about that play. You made a choice. You know you're losing your Spark It no matter what. Says, you know what? I'm just going to lose my Spark It. I'm going to lose the spirits on it. I got to get rid of what's in hand. And they do just that. They're going to clear that. They're going to target down the defense position Vysceris, dropping its defense stat to 0, allowing the 2-attack Spark It to potentially hit over it. And they're not going to be able to respond. You're not going to see a response here from JyGein. They're going to take the hit. And that's going to be that. So the Spark It is going to go down at the end of the turn from the poison-tipped arrow. I think if you're Jai, though, you're not too stressed, right? Like, you cleared the Spark It. Jack only has 1 card in hand. There's a chance that Jack is still fishing for more Elestrals at this point, right? Like, there's a chance that he doesn't have those Elestrals. So there's still certainly a way to come back. Do you expend a draw here? They are going to do just that, right? At this stage of the game, those cards are so valuable. You've seen, I think, 2 Spark It's now. So the risk of a 3rd one at this point, pretty low. So you can hold those cards in your hand a little bit better. And they're going to get that free hit off. And now it's going to pass back to Jack as they have an opportunity to respond here. If you're Jai, you have a couple things you can do. I think you kind of play this slow right now. Obviously, there's an opportunity if there's a face-down Chariot that you could maybe use one of those. But I think at this stage of the game, there's no reason to. I think you use it offensively, if anything. Jack has the answer. There's the Vysceris. Is there going to be a response from JyGein? You really want to bounce this thing? A PTA probably not going to do it. You want to put this thing in defense, or, you know, you kind of have to stop this Zeus play. Zeus going to disenchant. It's going to drop the attack of the Vysceris. Now, JacKyomu's Vysceris is stronger. It's going to go into the attack. JyGein needs to respond to this, and they don't have a response. Wow. This has been the Vysceris show today, ladies and gentlemen. Vysceris is going to be able to clear JyGein's Vysceris, and they're going to get a very sour taste of their own medicine as another Vysceris hits the field into defense position this time. And all of a sudden, things are looking a little grim if you're JyGein. JacKyomu sitting in a very powerful position here with their offensive threats. Let's see what we got. Oh my goodness. JyGein still hanging in there. 3 face down runes. Has a massive spirit advantage. Let's not forget that. But losing their Vysceris there is really rough. Really, really rough. Ramagem's going to hit the field to the defense position. That's going to get them the search that they want. I think you probably grab another Vysceris. You could argue Tectorus makes some sense here. But I think you really need to take advantage of all the Visceri on the field and try to get another Vysceris hit off on your own. We'll see what they end up grabbing. Earth Toolbox is really interesting. You know, we see Wind Toolbox a lot because Aeolus is so fast. Ramagem does it a little bit slower, right? It searches out its own element. Most Elestrals that search don't search their own element. Ramagem is an exclusion to that, so it has that opportunity, and it's kind of a little niche play where it can search out whatever Earth you want. We see them grab the Tectorus, actually, so going for the Tectorus play. I think if you could pair that with the Demeter, it makes a lot of sense. I don't think you want to pair that with like a Foley Forest or anything, because at some point you're just buffing your opponent, you know, more than you're really helping yourself. The defensive play from Ramagem sitting on the field, debating their next move. JacKyomu in the driver's seat with 2 Vysceris. There's an Earthquake coming down. That's going to clear one of the Vysceris, but it's not going to help on both, right? And this is where, like, if you had like a Demeter or something, maybe you put it on offensive play, but they don't have that, so they still have another Vysceris to contend with. Jack only 2 cards in hand, has another hit on that Zeus, and of course can put some pressure on here. Here comes a Sorlet. That's going to be big. Water Enchanted Sorlet is going to make sure that it gets around any potential tsunamis here. And Vysceris going into attack position. I love seeing these misenchant plays. It just shows the high level play. Like you understand, I don't need my Sorlet's effect right now. It's a 5 attacker, and this is the luxury that the 5 guys deck runs that other decks struggle to utilize. Is most decks are really relying on their effects, right? They're really trying to use their effects to the max of their advantage. But in the 5 guys deck, you have a little bit more kind of leniency where you can say, you know what, I'm okay to misenchant my Sorlet here. It's not going to be a big problem. I can do this because I don't really need Sorlet's effect. Like, I'd rather be able to make sure I get this KO and you know, take away one of the potential answers, which is Tsunami, right? And Tsunami can be devastating at the right time. So being able to stop that can be really big. So I think we're waiting to see another Vysceris hit the field here on Jack's end. And I think he was just debating how do I enchant this Vysceris, right? Do I like misenchant it? Do I go for the Earth one? A lot of these casters are using like very precise spirit counts, right? So they have enough spirits to run a certain amount of Earthquake and a certain amount of Vysceris. And like sometimes you know, maybe in this case you're running 3 Earthquakes, 3 Vysceris. That would essentially, you know, cost you a total of 9 spirits, but you might only be running 8 Earth Spirits, right? Or you might only run 6 Earth Spirits or 7. Because you're not going to see all 3 Earthquakes and all 3 Vysceris in the same game most of the time, right? Tectorus hits the field. There was some shuffling going on there. I didn't quite see all of that. I don't know what happened there, but Tectorus is going to hit the field. It's going to have an opportunity to take out, at the very least, the defense position Vysceris. If you're Jack here and you can get rid of this Tectorus, you probably just win, or at least really close. But he might just let it go through because it's not too big of a threat. You still have that Zeus enchant, so there's still an opportunity to respond. This is down to the wire. 7 spirits on both sides. Tectorus repping 4, 5, 6 attack. And if you get rid of that, Vysceris, then you're actually the strongest thing on the field. If you get rid of the defense one, at least. JacKyomu debating the play here. Is there an answer? There may be an Altar of Stars play here that makes some sense. I think that there's a world where you can alter onto your defense position Vysceris, give it the... No, that wouldn't work. I was going to say you may be given an Earth Spirit, but it wouldn't be strong enough. You would just buff the Tectorus. Here comes another Sorlet hit in the field, another 5 guy. We got a lot of 5 attackers on the field. This is Misenchanted Sorlet, though. So it's not going to be able to switch positions of the Tectorus. It's going to be forced to just straight up attack. Tectorus again sitting at 5 attack. But the Zeus Disenchant is going to drop the attack of Tectorus down to 2, making it so any of these 3 Elestrals can hit over it. If you're Jack, you're probably attacking with the Water Sorlet first, just to make sure that it goes off. And that's exactly what he does, right? Kind of remove the opportunity for that Tsunami to really do anything. And then you get to attack twice. And JyGein down to just 2 cards in hand after this draw. 3 cards in the back row. Hasn't seemed to use any of them. My guess is at least one of them is a Chariot Ride, right? JacKyomu, no cards in hand. 3 Elestrals on the field. You really need like an Astrabid here, I think. Something like an Astrabid can kind of hang in there a little bit and give you a defensive play. Let's see here. Obviously, these casters are down to the final moments of this tournament, potentially. So every decision they make is so big. Do we just see a pass turn? Looks like they did. An expend to draw. We're going to see 3 hits going in here. With only 2 spirits left for JyGein, they've got to see if they can make a move. JacKyomu, 3 Elestrals on field, 5 spirits. What's your win con here? It's the Astrabid, but it's a defense Astrabid with Earth, so you don't even get its effect. JacKyomu, a Wind Spirit wins it if you can change the position of the rabbit. An Earthquake wins it. I mean, there's so many win cons for Jack here. He just needs to hit over the rabbit. A Zeus does it. A Wind Spirit on Sorlet does it with an expend. But that Ass Rabbit sitting there with 5 defense is enough to potentially stop 2 Sorlets and a Vysceris. A second Vysceris does it as well. A lot of ways for Jack to win this. Altar of Stars will be the way he does it, though. Altar of Stars is going to change the position of the rabbit into attack position, forcing it into attack. But the weird thing about this play is Jack is going to be forced to move a spirit from one. Yeah, that was a smart play. He actually nexuses from a Sorlet to another Sorlet in the middle of the chain, change the position of the rabbit, and Jai is going to show they had nothing left. 3 Altar of Stars in a situation where they couldn't utilize that card, and the Chariot Ride, and an Earthquake a little too late, not enough spirits. JacKyomu is your champion, winning this one in a dominant 2-0 fashion with the 5 guys. Congratulations to Jack on winning the Elestrals tournament. Gorgon's Gaze was face down. That was ready to just run this. 2 oh, they had this. Yeah, 2 Gorgons face down was going to be enough to do everything they needed to do, and a Tsunami. So they had everything they needed at that point in the clash to be able to take control over it. JacKyomu wins the full art Pantera uncut sheet. Congratulations to them. Winning the first ever Elestrals best of 3 tournament. A big shout out to all the casters who participated. What a fun day today was. I mean, honestly, incredible. I thought it was super great. We saw some great clashes. We saw some great strategies. Big shouts to JyGein for throwing down with a super cool deck, right? Like, we love seeing those Earth Beaters here in the finals. Congratulations to them for making it this far. And Jack, what a performance. Blazing through top cut with a dominant 2-0, 2-0, and 2-0 in the top cut. Didn't drop a single game in the best of 3 top cuts with the 5 guys deck. Congratulations, man. That was hype. That was really hype. Let me hop on here, and I'll get a game with Jack now if he wants.
I would have played PTS with him this time.
Congratulations, Jack.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
congrats, Jack.
Would you like to do an honorary match against me for fun where you destroy me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anytime.
All right.
Do we
Kill him, Jack.
do
Let's go.
best of 3 as well?
Yeah, we could
just
do a best of 3. Sure, why not?
All right.
I gotta ask, man. I know you're probably pretty pumped. Obviously, you just won the whole thing. I know you were really fighting for a best of 3 tournament. Do you think that made a huge difference in your run today, or do you think that you just were locked in and you had the deck you needed to have?
Well, I still needed to play Swiss best of 1, but yeah, this is probably the deck I'm the most comfortable deck yet so far. So I think that helped a lot with playing this. Also, everybody played more or less the same deck, so it was easier for me to prepare for that.
That's fair. That's fair. So you saw it throughout the tournament. You saw a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah. Jai was one of the main different decks, and I think it's really great that you made it that far with Earth. Like everybody else is just kind of in try-hard mode, playing the same deck as I do.
Yeah, a lot of Thunder Nexus.
Did you?
I got like kind of a bad hand. I mean, something I could work with, but definitely not great. I feel like I'm about to get Sparkgate ripped, and then it's just over.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Using the best Elestral.
Okay. No response.
No response. Wonderful. Let's
Ooh.
see. We take this.
The best Celestial in the game.
Indeed.
I don't know.
think
Vysceris was
earlier-
looking pretty good today.
He's probably the second best, but if I remember correctly, early on stream you called him the one of the top 5 cards. I don't know if I would go that far. The counter runes are very strong.
That's fair. Gorgon's Gaze is bad though, right?
Gorgons is probably the other card that rivals Rabbit the closest.
All right, let's see here. Give me something good. I can work with that. All right,
All
I'll I'll cast my Necrov into attack position. Do you have any response?
Nah.
All right. You fell right into my trap. I'm gonna attack.
What a great trap.
Tsunami?
Yeah, tsunami.
Yeah. Oh man. I saw you using a lot of misenchants in your top cut. That was really fun to see. I think my analysis of that was that like Five Guys really does allow that a little bit more than some of the other decks, just because you know you can kind of work around not having to use some of those effects.
Yeah, I think misenchanting is really one of the most interesting mechanics the game currently has to offer, and so I do think mastering it and using it whenever possible to gain an edge is probably what helps the most to win games.
For sure. Well, I've got a Tsunami of my own, so we'll do that. But
Damn.
I'm not out of the woods yet, because I know those 2 counter runes face down are going to put some pressure on, so I need a good draw here. That'll do.
I should have water enchanted something.
Yeah. I'll Nog for 2.
Yep.
Come on.
Am I losing to the fire starter deck?
Dude, that's it. I'm running the Fire SD right now. I didn't want to spoil it, but... Alright, what do you got face down? There's something.
Something. Going with the assumption that you're actually playing the fire, we will just throw out a Gorgon's Gaze.
Alright. I see you. Just wait till I hit out my Hammer of Hephaestus, and then you can't target me anymore.
No, Gorgon's Gaze still works. It just protects from Elestrals.
Telling me how to play the game that I wrote that effect, man. All right. No response.
No response, great.
This is about to get real bad for me, guys. Anyone watching? It's about to get real bad. Not out yet, though. Not out of the woods yet. It's not over yet.
Quite.
Oh God. It's about to get real bad.
Disenchant 1, target Necrov.
Yep.
Everybody to attack. And for good measure, we'll set 1 more card.
Okay.
Vysceris over Necrov.
You got it. So I'll take 2 spirits.
And Vysceris effect. Yes, after I cast my Vysceris. I don't think I need to play around Tectoris against you, so I can just Earth enchant it.
Oh, I have Tectoris. You don't know? Never saw it coming, man. All right. What do I do here? Let's see here. All right. Let's start with this. I'll take out the attack
Okay, that's
one.
not the fire starter deck.
And then I'll take out the other Vysceris too.
That's pretty good.
All right. We're back in it. Ladies and gentlemen. Don't count me out. All right, let's see what I got here. What is my play? Oh, man. I mean, I have some options. They're just not good options. All right, we're going to set this face down. Oh, I know what's going to happen right now, and it's not going to be fun.
Just no Elestrals.
This is tough. I feel like there's a cool play. I think we're gonna go for this play. All right, I'm gonna go Galaxy, and I'm gonna go into the Rabbit. That way,
That's probably correct.
You force the GG. Okay, cool. All right, that's all I can do for now.
All right. Ooh, well, that's a card. Let's try it out.
Oh. Not what I want to see. No response.
Sparket effect.
You're gonna know what I'm doing now.
Oh boy.
Rise.
Actually, I think I'm fine with Rise is very bad card. Yeah, I'll get rid of one of the Ted puffs.
Oh, okay. That's fine with me. Oh yeah, you got to do the Nexus too. Yeah.
I forgot to do that.
I just need another double resting on your laurels. I'm allowed to run 4 copies, so.
Oh yeah, that
Oof.
makes sense.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we'll just attack for 3
Okay.
if nothing gets in the way.
1, 2. I just gotta count real quick. Yep. Okay, that's my play. 1, 2, 3.
Ooh, a wind. Are you perhaps playing solid in there too? Or maybe it's a Zephyr up there. That might be it.
Any response?
Nope.
All right, I'm gonna end.
Alright.
Ugh.
We'll just set.
Oh, I should have set my rise. Oops. Oh man.
Yeah, we'll just use bucket.
Yeah, I should have set my rise.
Wait. I'm messing up the Nexus once again. That's what I want. I'll check.
All right.
Well, luckily, thing can't attack over anything.
Not yet. You gotta believe. All right, we're top decking here. Oh. All right, man. I can at least make it entertaining.
Ooh,
I can at least make it entertaining, dude.
that is the bane of my existence. Almost got me.
All right, so you're gonna win this one, GG. I had
GG.
dude. Obviously, I was fishing for Krakatuga the whole game. What's your face downs?
2 of them are royal,
Okay, so nothing there.
and the third one is I don't think it works.
Yeah, you gotta move the rolls.
It was a shield.
Oh,
that's a
dude!
third.
If I drew Krakatuga a little earlier, I might have had this one. I was fishing for. I had drops, and I had drops first turn. I'm like, I don't want to use drops. Like, I don't want to use it. Rise, Gorgons, Nog, Eruption. Yeah, it wasn't gonna matter. That was GG's though. I'm definitely down. Let's get round 2 here.
Nah, we're flexible on the special camera matches.
All right, you going first or second? Wait, no, I get to choose. I'm going first. I'm going first.
All right.
Thank you. Oh, this is the hand they give me? Who wrote this app?
Is a hand.
Great, man. Oh, you're mulliganing. Oh, wow, that was weird.
Yeah.
My game glitched out.
How so?
I'll find out after this mulligan, but we might have found a bug. Oh, no, it fixed itself. Okay. It didn't reveal the card to me that I drew until, like, after the fact.
Mulligan happened.
Yeah.
I see.
All right, well, preparing for Spark at Zeus, I'm just going to do that.
Nah, I'm good.
I expected to draw, Jai. Oh, rabbit. Okay, no response.
Cool.
Always fun getting tickled by a Strabbit on turn 2. Yeah. It's one of my pastimes. Both games.
Right.
Strabbit opener, attack directly.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if you'd use a tsunami on that Astrabbit.
I don't have any. This is all part of my plan, actually. You're just falling right into my trap, so thank you.
Alright.
I took the spirit. I'm gonna top deck a Nectar of the Gods right now, and I'm not gonna be able to play it, so it's gonna be great.
Yeah, you already expanded, right?
Yeah, I took the spirit. Yep.
Great.
Interesting. This is one of those things where I know if I do this, it's very sketch. Very sketchy. All right. Sluggle to defense. Actually, I'll do attack position.
Alright.
I'll get 2 back. All part of my master plan. And I will crash.
Damn. That I really don't like. Did not expect that. Oh, well.
Nobody expects my offensive slug. I'm wearing the Stellar Sluggle t-shirt, so we're here. Nice.
Got punished for attacking with my Astrabbit. Really don't like playing against water. Very annoying.
You hear that, everyone who's thinking about next week, you know? Alright, I'll take 1. What do I have for this?
Yep.
Nothing. Alright.
Great. Love to hear that. Attack.
Alright, I'll take it.
Great. Now we're back at where we started.
I'm gonna expend the draw. Who needs field control? Alright, that's good. I'll take it. Exactly what I was looking for. Don't you spark at me now.
I can't. I have no room. We'll just enchant
Okay.
Toxion again. Ping for another one. Done attack for 2.
Alright, I'm gonna tsunami this one.
Nice. Luckily I have 2 defense. Your offensive sluggle won't do anything.
Yeah,
against
dude,
that.
offensive sluggle's not gonna do what I need it to do right now. Which is sad, because I really believed in offensive sluggle too. Alright. This is where we do it. Is this where I do it? What do I have? Yeah. Alright. I'm going out with Mustation.
Ooh.
Big boy mustache out here. Oh, dude, actually, can I take that play back?
Sure.
I forgot my face down runes.
Creative privileges.
I'm allowed to. There we go. That's the better play.
Oh no.
Sorry, I forgot I had a face down. Thanks for the rewind. All right, now we're gonna throw down the mustache man.
All right.
And I know his 1 attack. That's a exponentially better play. His 1 attack is very fearsome, so I'll attack directly.
Yeah, I'll
All right.
running me out of options. I don't like that. Cast bucket.
Okay, no response.
No response.
No response.
I smell a trap. But hey, if you don't boost your guy, I'll just attack it.
I'm gonna shield it.
Sure. This way I get rid of a card and 2 more.
Yeah,
2
it's
and 1 more spirit. Then if this we just use my station, so I'm very happy with that.
all right. The boy.
No, that might be a bit of a problem. but we'll take it.
Okay, okay. Fire starter deck doing it.
Something like that. With just a few add-ons.
Well, you know, my mom got me 2 starter decks for Christmas, so I was able to put them together.
I don't think Cat Pup comes with any. I'm kinda gotta get rid of something. I'm kinda just blocking my own way. Oh, well, we'll just try Toxion here.
Of course.
Toxion effect.
I'm gonna GG the Toxion. I may regret this, but it feels like a play.
That's a pretty good play. I will just get
Necro?
rid of that. Yeah. Not a fan of that. And then we'll play 1 card face down. And end my turn.
I'm gonna change defense. And I'll end.
That's a very odd place that what I have. I might just this one. Wow.
Okay.
Toxion effect.
Yep. My 1 wind spirit for Peliquarius.
Pass.
Ooh. Well. I'm just thinking. I'll eruption. And I'm gonna eruption again.
Very annoying. This is useless now.
I don't think it's gonna matter, but I'm just gonna go for it, I guess. I'll expend the 1 to buff my attack on Mustation, and I'll attack. Might as well just go for it at this point.
We will shield here.
Okay. Trying to think if there's any way I win, but I think that's just game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have Tsunami and stuff, but nothing I can draw.
Yeah.
Organs, PTA, Tsunami. Yeah. GG's, man. I got you to 0 both games. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's very close. I think if you didn't attack, you actually had a really good shot.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Like-
I was just worried that you were going to just beat me down with Toxion getting enchanted every turn. But I guess you would have only had 1 more time to do that.
Yes, not very much, especially with the looming.
Oh,
threat
you're
of
right.
that.
Actually, I think I think if I stay in defense position there the whole time and just wait, I probably have a chance to win, right? Because you would have 0 spirits left. Well, you only have 1 spirit left. And you'd have to either... No, I think you don't run Ambrosia, right? So...
Yeah, it's not great for me.
But you had that
I
1
do
spirit,
have-
so you would have just basically been playing for Zeus. But you have your rune roll full. I don't know what would have happened,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, it's very complicated. I did have a fire spirit, so if I somehow managed to get that on board, I could have tried to counteract the eruptions with that. But outside of that, I was trying to set up like a Sparket to Nexus to the Toxion back and forth, maybe.
Oh, yeah, that would have done it, too.
But
Oh,
I
actually,
don't know
yeah,
how
I mean,
well
if
that
you-
would've worked.
If you cast it... Yeah, I don't know. It would have been close, but it's okay either way. Congrats, man, on winning the whole thing. That was hype, and thanks so much, dude, for being, such a, great player and positive, kind of person in our community. And I'm glad you got this dub, dude. Huge wins.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
All right, man. GG's, dude.
GG's.
All right, so that's going to wrap it up for our Elestrals tournament for today. JacKyomu going to win the whole dang thing and then beat me afterwards, which, I'll give him the W. I got him pretty close, though. I got him down to 0 spirits in both games, so those were really fun. I was obviously running a pretty fun deck trying to utilize Eruption, which I still think the deck that I'm using is a lot better than people give it credit for. It doesn't win today, but it put in some work there at the end. So GG's to Jack. I'm going to get him a full art uncut sheet of Penterror, which is always super cool. Again, the only way to get those is through a giveaway or from winning one of these tournaments. So this is a pretty serious prize, and JacKyomu's been one of the top players since, Elestrals, has come out. So it's really cool to see them come out and dominate today with the 5 guys deck. Make sure you guys check out Shattered Stars if you haven't done so yet. You guys have been wonderful. I really appreciate everyone hanging out with me today for our tournament, our first best of 3 top cut. I thought this went really well. I know that there was a few hiccups with the app and stuff, so we're going to obviously look into that. But overall, pretty excited with the day. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And I thank everyone for participating, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you, guys. Love y'all. Peace. Good job to the whole team behind the scenes, by the way. Y'all crushed it.